Welcome back, Micro Warriors. Today we're going to be talking about lids, modified lids specifically. We're some of the ones that I've made and what you shouldn't make, uh, just to save you some time and a little bit of money. So, first off is the first lid that I made, or second lid I made, I guess, was this one. It has a brass and bronze filter. It's actually for pneumatic air um, tools, and then it's got some silicone on it in for a injection port. The silicone I used is food grade clear silicone, high temperature. Um, Everybody seems to use RTV. That's awesome. I use that on my vehicle. I don't feel like I want to put that somewhere near something I want to be consuming at some point. So instead, I went and I found some food safe silicone, and it's clear. It's still high temperature. It's still up to 350 degrees. Or so this will be plenty good enough for anything that we do. First lid that I made was this one. I didn't have any money, so what I did is I just took a nail and I punched a hole through it. You can see that it's a square hole, but there's some protrusion on the backside. The problem with this, I found, is that it rusts. Same with this one that I didn't coat around this filter. It rusted as well. There are two problems with this filter, or this filter. There's no silicone around it, so it rusted. And also, brass and bronze by nature, and copper, any alloy of copper is by nature antibacterial, antifungal. And if we're growing a fungus, that's not necessarily the greatest thing. I thought it might work because if it didn't come into contact with everything, then it might still be okay. Turned out that it was not. So I did get growth. My growth was just severely stunted, and I feel like I also stopped myself from being able to get a good rhizomorphic mycelium growth in my liquid culture. So I'm not going to be using those lids anymore. I'm actually going to take that one apart, scrape everything off of it, all the silicone and all the goodness, and I'm going to put some of these into it. We're going to do these today. I'm going to convert one of these lids, and I'm going to convert this lid over so that it's usable instead of having a rust pit on the bottom of it. And I'll show you how to do that here. So I've got my two drill bits. The smaller drill bit is for the filter, and the larger drill bit is for the injection port. Lots of people use different sizes injection ports, so it just kind of depends on you, I guess, and what you want to do and what makes you comfortable. So for these, I'm just going to drill a hole on each side, but I'm going to use this backer to try to get as little metal as possible. You see that the metal is protruding upward, but when we insert this, it won't matter. And while we got this out, might as well drill ourselves a hole bigger in this one. Alright, let's change these out. So apparently my camera stopped. So here I drilled in the holes for both of the lids so that we could put our filters in. So now I'm going to start by putting the injection ports in, and then we're going to put our filters in, and we're going to add a little bit of silicone to the bottom of the filters to make sure that we take care of any rusting issues. We don't want anything to rust. So both of those went in nice and easy. They're sitting nice and flush, and they've got a good seal, especially with that up there like that. Just grab a couple of filters. These are syringe filters. I'm using a 0.22 micron filter. And just push through the hole. And because the hole is as snug as it is, it actually threads this whenever I put it in. So because this does have a tapered cone type spout on it. So I just screw it in. Till it gets down to as far as I can probably get it. Not doing any real damage to it. You can kind of see that it cuts the threads in there. Now we're just going to take a little bit of our silicone here. That's unfortunate. We're needing a new cap after today, eh? So just take a little bit of the silicone and just rub it around right on the bottom there. You don't need a real thick coat. You just need enough that it's going to effectively waterproof and seal it. So, see, it's not a real thick coat, but it's enough that it's going to be a barrier between the water and the steel, so that it doesn't rust on you for any reason. I'm gonna just take it and smear it around. Wipe any excess off of your fingers. You can wear gloves while you do this. I've done enough working on my car and dealing with silicone that it doesn't bother me to have it on my fingers. Make sure that you don't get anything into your holes. And make sure your holes are clear so that you don't have any problems when you're injecting or with air transfer. So make sure there's nothing in those. And if there is, make sure you change it out. Let's finish finish changing this out. Managed to get silicone in the actual filter. It's something you definitely want to avoid, or you need to redo what you just did. And doing stuff twice is not quite as nice. Keep it low. You just need a very thin coat. If you still have some on your fingers and you see some steel that's showing, even though it's not scratched technically, just throw it over the top of that. It can't hurt. That way you don't rust. Oh, and a note on the ones that I did originally with just the hole in the middle that I had created with the nail. On this one, I also didn't have micropore tape or any of the other things that everybody else recommends you have so that you can successfully grow your grow. So what I did instead is I took a Band-Aid and I put a Band-Aid on it. Band-Aids are breathable. They're not super breathable, but they are breathable. And it was breathable enough that I got enough air exchange while growing the liquid culture, and it did a pretty good job. So just another pour or broke or whatever kind of tech you want to call it, so that you don't always have to go out and buy the biggest, baddest stuff. I use paper tape, paper medical tape, for most everything, from my boxes to anything that needs a breather on it that it can handle. You could use this on the top of your lids if you wanted to. Micropore tape is just a 3M specific version of paper medical tape, so it's all the same. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again.